Vandaag bij een heel bijzonder beeld. Dit is het beeld van de Navajo's, ter herinnering die mee hebben gevochten aan de Tweede Wereldoorlog. En het waren de Indianen, vaak verkenners, die in de voorlinies de verkenningen deden. Over de Indianen die meevochten in de Tweede Wereldoorlog, de Navajo's, gaat deze video.
During World War II, the Navajo Indian language was used as a code language by the U.S. military so that otheren emygroups could not understand the secret messages and communications. The Navajos are a Native American people in the southwestern United States. The enemy Japanese soldiers who heard the message that American Chester Nez brought onto the airwaves on the Pacific island of Guadalcanal in the late summer of 1942 had no idea what they were listening to. The message read, "The Japanese could not make anything out of it, but they also assumed it was a code message. The code turned out to be unbreakable." Navajo Indian Chester Nez message was based on the language the American Navajo Indians used, which was so incomprehensible to outsiders that even Navajo Indians themselves could understand it. Navajo is a difficult language. How did this come about? Meanwhile, the Second World War was underway when a man knocked on the door of the Marine Corps base in San Diego in February 1942 with an idea. Former Sergeant Philip Johnston had read that the Army was testing Navajo Indians as liaison troops, and he also tried to get the Marine Corps excited about such a code project. Initially, however, the Marine Corps recruited only 30 Navajo, while Johnston had wanted to employ 200 Navajo Indians as liaison officers. But those 30 liaison officers alone proved difficult to find. The Navajo, however, expect to get office jobs. The Marine Corps placed high demands on Navajo recruits. Their native language had to be the language of their tribe, but they also had to be fluent in English, speak and be able to read and write. Marine Corps personnel went to the Navajo reservation on the border of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah to recruit liaison officers, but that was not easy because their recruiters were only allowed to say that they were looking for men for a special assignment. "We didn't know what that special duty meant," Navajo Carl Gorman said after the war. "But we thought it probably meant that we would get a blue army uniform and be allowed to sit in the office." In May 1942, 29 Navajo Indians boarded a bus that took them to San Diego. They first had to go through the rigorous training of the Marine Corps. Skeptical white American officers on the force wondered whether the Indians could handle the strict discipline, but no one had dropped out due to illness, discipline problems or not being able to keep up with the rest of the group. The American officers found this unusual. You can say that the motivation among the Navajo Indians was very high. The Navajo had performed excellent. Now the brand new Indian naval infantrymen were finally told what they had been asked for, trained and hired for. The briefing took place in a secure building with bars on the windows and heavy locks on the thick doors. An officer told in plain terms what awaited the Indians. American soldiers fought like lions against the advancing Japanese, and they needed all the help they could get. The Navajo had to do their part by developing a secret code language that could not be cracked, so that secrets would not leak out over the radio. The 29 men stared at each other in surprise. Most of them had just finished primary school. The basis of the code would be formed by Navajo words that replaced English letters. The Indians had to come up with expressions that indicated military concepts, such as grenade or colonel, in the Iround language. Strict security procedures were imposed on the Indians while they worked on the code. For example, no paper or document is not allowed to leave the building. The Navajo language is so far removed from English that it is difficult to translate concepts directly. An English message was simply replaced by a word in Navajo, according to a list that each code speaker had memorized. We only used everyday words from Navajo, so we could easily learn and remember them. Navajo Chester Nez on the development of the code language. We only used everyday Navajo words so we could easily learn and remember them. I think that's why we had so much success, Chester Nez said later. In September 1942, the first Navajo squad was deemed fit to go to the battlefield. Just 4 months earlier, they had enlisted, believing they would spend the rest of the war at a desk. But now they were on their way to a remote island, where Marine soldiers were fighting a battle to the death. The Navajo had converted 211 military concepts into their own words. Code experts must win war was the assignment. The first radio messages from the Navajo Indians caused confusion, and could not happen again. That's why leadership decided they would start their messages with one recognizable word before switching to their own language, for example, Arizona, or New Mexico. The officer decided that from now on the Navajo Indians would send messages in their language, which were radio messages that required immediate action or that contained particularly sensitive information. The inventor of the Navajo language code, Chester Nez, passed away on 14/06/2014 at 93 years.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and to share. And please join our channel.